podcast, Real Professionals with Real Results. I'm John Kennedy, and this is Austin Hess, and we're interviewing Eric Bostic because he's made some waves in the social media lately. Eric, so how long have you been in the industry?
I have been in the industry going on 13 years now.
Okay, and
loving it and wanting more of it.
What did you do before you got into the payments industry? What kind of made you want to gravitate towards payments?
Well, it's a long story, so I'm just going to go all the way back. Played football in college, ended up being injured my sophomore year. I remember telling my dad I was going to take a semester off from school when I was healing up from my injury. And he's sitting in his chair and he raises his eyebrow at me and says, "Oh, really?" So 2 weeks later, I was going through basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in the U.S. Army, and ended up serving as an Army Ranger and Green Beret for 12 years. Served in 7th and 20th Special Forces Group, and saw a little combat in Somalia in 1993, and was attached to the Drug Enforcement Agency the remainder of my time in the military doing drug interdiction. So I used to take it real personal when people used to say America wasn't fighting the drug war, because that's what I did, basically.
Right.
Tired of getting shot at, finished college at University of North Carolina, Greensboro.
Hey, Eric, I'm going to interrupt you real quick, and I apologize. You know, this is a question that I've had for a long time. I've got a cousin that's in the military, and he's currently undergoing the Special Forces training. What is the difference between your mindset and your physical abilities going Special Forces as to where, I don't want to say just being a regular soldier, because that's not, you know, there's no such thing as a regular soldier. Yeah. But, you know, what's the difference between being, you know, maybe just an infantryman and Special Forces? What does that entail? You know, where does your mind have to be at? Where's your body have to be at?
Well, there's two different levels, or two different jobs, I should say. Being an Army Ranger is a Special Forces, and being a Green Beret is Special Forces as well. A regular infantryman, 11 Bravo, they're just ground pounders, you know, point them at the action. Hey, go over there, kill those people, do what you got to do, dig a hole in the dirt, make a fighting position. Army Rangers, they take down airports, and the physical aspect of going through Ranger school, I call it 90 days of fun in the sun. Sleep deprivation, food deprivation, 1 meal a day. I remember I lost 37 pounds going through Ranger school. And I remember when we graduated, I remember this distinctly. I remember my mom there, and my mom saw me, and I hear my mom over everybody. "What have they done to my baby?" I had lost so much weight. And, you know, they give you 30 days convalescent leave after so you can heal up, basically, because it's just, they put you through a meat grinder going through U.S. Army Ranger School. Ranger School is more physical than anything. Now, going through Special Forces School, John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School, it all starts with 18 days of selection at a place called Camp McCall, North Carolina. You go through that, you get selected, you go through SWIC. That's just the short acronym for John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center School. Going through SWIC, you know, you get your basic, your MOS, comms, weapons, engineer sergeant, or medical school to be a SF medic, which is the longest of all the schools. Is like 18 months long. Basically, you can be a physician's assistant when you graduate with it, to being an SF medic. But that is more mental. There's a language component there, so you have to learn to speak a foreign language. If you're ever going to be doing FIDS, which is called Foreign Internal Defense, you go into another country, you have to speak the language with the locals. Green Berets can be dropped behind enemy lines, and we can take a guerrilla task force and get that guerrilla force up to basically a fighting unit to be able to do counterinsurgency type things.
So you're one tough guy.
I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I'll just say
we
that.
Shouldn't fight over merchant accounts, because you probably win, huh?
Yeah, it's you know, one's physical, one's mental. They're both tough. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Awesome.
But left the military, finished college at UNCG. Went to work at Jefferson Pilot Financial as a broker, stockbroker, and insurance broker. I had 3 computer screens I was looking at all day long, making trades, and on the phone all day. And I just got tired of being on the phone, leaving work with, punch drunk from looking at computer screens all day. And the guy used to come in and sell us our suits and things at Tom James, custom clothing. So I was like, I want to try that. So I did that for 5 years, won a couple of awards, President's Club, Rookie of the Year, those types of things. And they cut our commissions. And I ended up working for a company called Timbar. We did corrugated boxes and things like that. And I had the Walmart account and would fly out to Bentonville, Arkansas, and work on floor displays for Walmart. And got laid off on Black Friday in 2007. And
wait, they didn't wait till after Black Friday to lay you off? Like, no, you got to deal with all these bad people, and then we're going to lay you off.
Not that Black Friday for Thanksgiving. The Black Friday when over 800,000 people lost their jobs in America. This was in January. So that was actually done on a Friday. I remember, they'd say, turn in your laptops, turn in your Amex cards, we're shutting the plant down, and you get no severance package anything. So at that time, my wife was pregnant and she was on bed rest and she wasn't working. So I went from a high 6-figure salary to 0. And when I sobered up, catch that, when I sobered up, I told my wife that I wasn't going to sit around and draw unemployment or anything like that. And I found the merchant services industry in 2007, beginning of 2008, and never looked back, man. Took to it like a fish to water.
When you got into merchant services, let me ask you this. How did you find the merchant services?
I answered an ad. That's
the answer.
Yep, not knowing anything about it.
And now, were you on Craigslist or were you on I guess
no, this was at the monsterjobs.com. I remember.
.com. So it's usually Craigslist, Indeed, or Monster.
What was the first company you worked for?
Golly, I can't remember the name. What was the name of that company? Ameribank.
Okay, so you were selling for like Total Merchant Services under Ameribank?
Yep, under Ameribank. And I didn't know it at the time. This is just my personal opinion, not saying anything bad about I didn't think they were ethical. And when I found out, I was like, okay, I'm going to use you guys. I'm going to learn this business, and I'm going to find a company that matches me and, my background, and I'm going to rock with them. And I did. I went to work for a company called Card Payment Solutions. Not the Card Payment Solutions in California. There's another CPS in South Carolina.
Okay.
Worked with them, built a big book of business, had the 6th and 9th largest daycare chains in the country, ended up signing Harris Teeter grocery stores.
Oh, you got Bright Horizons as your company, or which one was or you still have them? You don't want to say it.
Well, I don't have them anymore because I sold that book of business. When I went out on my own, I signed Sunshine House Daycare Centers and Alpha Best Early Education Centers, which is a parent company of a lot of daycare chains that people don't know about.
Now, how did you go about signing that company as like a newer agent in the field?
Well, this was after I was in the industry for probably 2 years. I got them, so I wasn't really new. But
but for this industry, 2 years is pretty new. Some people like that are 10 or 15 years in still talk to me and they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, I got my certified payments professional designation because that was coming out around that time. So I wanted to get that designation. I got that done. And then my wife sent me in to pay my daycare bill for my son. And their credit card machine was broke. So I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. Who do I need to talk to? Blah, blah, blah. So they ended up, giving me the name at the corporate office, about 150 miles away. So I worked that account for 7 months, and I ended up getting that account, Sunshine House Daycare Centers.
And they were doing $48 million a month, or
no, that wasn't them. That was Alpha Best actually. Who was
because I want to talk about in a minute. I want to talk about your featured ad in Transact magazine for the ETA CPP.
Yeah. So I got Alpha Best. I got Sunshine House, which led to Alpha Best, which was a $48 million a year account in child care services. Those two accounts alone were paying me about $45,000 a month. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Aren't those nice?
Yeah, man. Then I ended up getting Harris Teeter grocery stores. So I was processed for a big grocery store chain here on the East Coast. And I had a girl I went to high school with, and she was working for Volvo Heavy Equipment in my hometown of Greensboro, North Carolina. and ended up signing Volvo Heavy Equipment, which was a $198 million a year account.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
Are you putting all these on Interchange Plus, or were
yep,
you getting creative?
Cost
Okay.
plus, and it was, they were priced thin, but there was so much volume there, it just still made you were making money hand over fist. So I mean,
Right.
there was no need to be greedy or anything like that.
Did you
Good
have to do
business
the
always.
implementation for these yourself, or did the company that you were working with at the time go in and handle that?
Well, it was a combination of both. It was a
Okay.
combination of both. Really, we programmed all the terminals and everything and drop shipped them out. And, I would call, or somebody from the office would call, and we would walk them through setting it up, and it was good to go. It was really just plug and play.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Let me ask you this real quick, Eric. You said that was about 2 years into the business is when you got those accounts. You said, correct?
Started signing those accounts. Yeah.
So during that first 2 years, you said you were working, with a company. You didn't feel like it was ethical, but you wanted to learn the biz and then transition into somebody that fits your personality, your morals better. Accurate?
Right.
So what did during that 2 years, what did you do that you felt like really helped you propel your business and your career in merchant services while you were learning the business?
Man, I was a cold calling fanatic.
Cold
There we
calling
go.
on the phone or door to door?
Both.
Okay, wait. Because there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to this that don't believe cold calling works.
I'm not one of them. That's all my business is we knock on doors, we talk to people, we get in their face. So I love you for that.
Yeah. I was a cold calling fanatic. If I had an appointment somewhere, I would do my appointment. I'd walk out and I did what's called T marketing. I'd go across the street, knock on that door, knock on the people beside them. I've made a good use of my time. I was a big proponent of respecting the golden hours. And my sales mentor taught me that as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be doing it, you'll have no choice but to be successful. So, and the golden hours for me, I used to drop my son off at daycare at 7 o'clock, and I'd be, I try to have my first appointment 7:30, 8 o'clock. So from 7:30 in the morning till 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, those were the golden hours. My wife knew not to call me unless it was an emergency because I was working. And if she did call me and she was talking to me, it would just irritate me because I felt like I was losing money because she wasn't working. So I was
feel you on that one.
Yeah. So I was the one that was making money. So I'm like, why are you calling me in the middle of the day? Yes, I love you. Nothing's changing, blah, blah, blah. Let me go work. I used to tell her all the time. I used to make her mad. Guys, don't use this, but I'm going to tell it to you. I used to tell my wife, I said, if you're driving down the highway and you see a speed limit sign that says 70 miles an hour, if you don't see another sign for 150 miles, what is the speed limit? Well, 70 miles an hour. Same thing with I love you. I love you.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, they used to make her so mad. But
I'm using that tonight.
Oh, don't do it. But yeah, man, I was a cold calling fanatic on the phone, out in the field. And in Charlotte, back in those days in North Carolina, you used to have a business license. So we used to go to the city business license office, and they had a list every week of everyone who signed up for a business license.
Right.
That was gold, man. I would use that list. I would cold call that list. I would mail that list. I built my business off of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get back over to the CPP a little bit.
Yeah.
How did it come about that you were featured in that article in April 2017, or that featured ad?
Well, first, I knew Dale Baker because I was, going through the CPP certification. I would have questions. I would call. And I would end up talking with Dale Baker. And when I landed the Sunshine House daycare centers, it was because I had my certification. That the CFO went and looked it up. CEO went and looked up the certification. Did his background research on it and gave me the business because I was the only one he was dealing with that was certified. And,
wow.
I let Dale and those guys know, and I ended up on the cover of Electran magazine, our industry certification. And they've done articles on me. They've done other ads on me, and you know, they just did that ad not too long ago. And
Do you think that you by far are the biggest success of the CPP program?
oh, I wouldn't go that far, but you know,
I mean, I would, but
I credit a lot of my success to having that ETA, certified payments professional.
you know, I totally disagree, man. I would credit your success to you and your determination.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, just everything you've told me so far makes me want to like dive a little deeper, but we only have so much time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. But, you know, I just left foot, right foot, man. That's one thing they taught us in Ranger school. You know, drive on Ranger, drive on Ranger. When you're down in the dirt and things don't look so good, and you got to fight. You got to get mean, and you got to fight. They used to tell us every good and perfect thing stands on the razor's edge of destruction and must be fought for daily. Not just daily, but moment by moment. Will you fight? They used to ask us that all the time. And my black hat, the Ranger instructor, he'd say, hey, drive on Ranger, left foot, right foot, lean into it. And that's just my mindset, man. Put your left foot in front of your right foot and lean into it and get it done.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess we can transition now here. You've been in the business for how many years now?
Going on 13.
Now you've just embarked on a new endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get to that. I'm going to let John get to that with you here in just a second. So my question is 13 years in the business, CPP, large accounts, your background is phenomenal. You know, motivation, just hard work. What point did you start thinking that you wanted to be a part of something bigger? What led you to, you know, where you're at now? And let's not get into, you know, where you're at now. You gotta let John get into that. But what sequence of events did you go through that made you say, hey, you know, I'm ready to be a part of something bigger?
I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I sold my book of business for
No.
Yeah, for a good chunk.
Why would you do that?
I know, man. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do it. But I'll put a pin.
You're like, if I had to do it all over again,
We'll
still
come
look
back
at the
to that.
check.
Yeah. But I sold my book of business, and it was so big, and they paid me so much that I had a 5-year non-compete. Not just a non-compete. I couldn't be in the industry for 5 years. So there was a 2-year break. And during that time, you know, I was bored out of my freaking mind. I mean, I had so much money. I bought a boat, moved to Florida, moved down to Naples, Florida, bought a condo, you know, doing things that guys with money do. I'd go fishing and played a lot of golf. And my son races.
Moved to Florida after you sold.
Yeah. And
so then
my son,
where were you before? Did you have state tax there and then you moved to Florida?
Yeah, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had no idea. You know, I didn't know. You know, someone offers you $3.2 million, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'll take it. So, you know, that, and then, you know, moved down to Florida. My son races motocross. So, you know, you could call me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm on a dirt bike somewhere. You know, that's just what I did.
That's awesome.
Ended up that the company ended up losing a lot of the accounts, so they had no reason to enforce a non-compete. And I ended up back in the industry, and I was like, do I want to build another ISO, be registered, and all that good stuff again? And this is something that I've been looking for, being part of a corporate team, recruiting agents, helping them grow their business. I'm good. My retirement is set because I took a lot of that money and put it up in, you know, variable annuities and things like that. So I'm on my passion now is helping other agents grow their book of business so they can be what I call free. You know, that residual takes care of all their bills every month, and then they pile it on and just live life, man. That's what I'm about now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. John.
Oh, sorry.
I say I'll let you get in. I'm kind of interested into what he's doing now and how he's doing it and who he's doing it with, if he's able to disclose that. And
yeah, I want to talk a little bit about you at Bright Payments. I mean, you've started a little trouble on some of our Facebook groups, you know, service sales group with the cash discount. So I know Bright Payments is doing the take charge program.
Right.
What do you see as the real, I wouldn't say compliant because nobody knows what really compliant is, but the right way to do cash discount?
in my opinion, the right way to do cash discount is, number one, you have to disclose everything. The sign at the door, the sign by the register, the pricing has to be correct, and the verbiage, even when we talk to the merchants on how they're supposed to explain it to their customers, even down to that, it has to be done correctly. If it's not done correctly, quote unquote, you're not compliant, and you could get a slap on the wrist or what have you. But to me, that's the main thing. It's just disclosure. You're disclosing everything. Customers get it. They know things cost.
Right.
They see the cash and credit price at the gas stations every day. They know when they pay their power bill with their municipality, there's a 2.75 or 3.35. Those are just the ones around here where I live. They know that there is a convenience fee to use their credit card. They understand, and they know. Customers know. They're savvy. They know if they don't pay it at the register, they're paying it in the prices, because the prices are just going to go up because the business owner's costs go up. They're in business to make money, so it is what it is.
Right. Where do you see that? I mean, let's start with this. Have you heard of anybody actually getting in trouble for the cash discount and doing it wrong yet?
I've heard some agent recruiters say that, but as far as me personally, I've not heard anybody.
I mean, I've heard it too.
Yeah.
I do know somebody who did get in trouble, but it was for it was not totally cash discount. It was more of deceptive pricing practices, and it was with the consumer.
Yeah, I haven't. Me personally, I haven't heard of anyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're all on the same page here. What about you?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, definitely.
Austin, have you heard anybody?
No, man, and I agree with Eric 100%. I mean, and I think it just goes to, not just cash discount, but business in general. I mean, transparency.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be transparent, as a sales agent to your merchant, explain to them what the program is, explain to them how to explain it to their customers, post your signage, educate your merchants on how to explain it to a customer, and you hit the nail right on the head. Like, when I talk to my merchants, they're like, are my customers going to get mad? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Merchant, we're having the conversation about your costs going up and your margins are getting smaller and having to increase prices. That's a perfect opportunity for you to implement this program. And if you have a customer ask about it, you simply let them know, hey, I had a choice to either increase profit or increase the prices on my products, or, offer an alternative form of payment, and not charge a service fee, or just charge a service fee on the cards.
Exactly. And they get it. They get it.
They do it. I haven't had a lot of problems. You're always going to have those merchants and consumers alike. They're going to give you a little bit of pushback. But
there's always going to be one. There's always going to be that one.
Yeah. And but yeah, transparency and education on the program and your pricing is accurate, and I don't see an issue. Now, I feel like at this point, we're 2 or 3 heavy years into cash discount. If the only thing that I've seen is states change their laws to allow it to happen.
Yep, that's exactly
right. If this goes into litigation, the states that are still prohibiting it, they're not taking it to litigation, because you're going to lose that in Supreme Court. So they're just not touching.
And once Visa comes on board with their statement, like MasterCard did, game over. Everybody's going to be doing it. I look at, if you take the 30,000-foot view of this business, when I got in, leasing was just tailing off.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing leasing a couple years before. When I got into business, it was just tailoring off. There wasn't a lot of big leasing going on. Then it went into the free terminal aspect. Everybody's giving a free terminal, no need to lease. So after that, then it went into the Clover situation. Now we're in the cash discount phase. And, the way our industry works, there's going to be something else coming down the pike in the next couple of years. So right now it's on the cash discount. Agents need to, in my opinion, agents should embrace that, learn everything it is about it, do the right thing by the merchant, and everybody's going to be happy.
There's this business is, and I've got a mentor that we talk about this on a regular basis. You ride the waves.
That's it.
If you can see the wave coming, if you're a surfer and you're out in the water and you see the breaks coming and you're ready to ride, you see those coming, you educate yourself before they get there, and you make sure you're on the front side of that and you ride that all the way through. And I think
great analogy.
you hit the nail on the head, I think, with the progression of the waves that our industry has seen. Now, after cash discount, in my opinion, I know NFC has already been a big topic of conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just in, where was I? I don't even remember. I was in a larger city, and I was in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I say larger city because I'm in rural Kansas. I'm in rural Kansas. So larger city to me means it has a Walmart and a McDonald's. But I was in Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is a fairly large town. There's a lot of corporate business there.
Right.
Eight corporate, locations that I went to did not take Apple Pay, and I left my wallet at the hotel, and I was not going back. So I just I was going to find somebody that took Apple Pay.
Oh God, man, I did that campaign years ago.
and it didn't catch on. There's those things. So, I'll touch on that just a little bit and there get back on it. Mac computers, there's a such thing as technology coming out before people are ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And, my hat's off. Steve Jobs is probably one of the most innovative minds of my lifetime or our generation.
Mm-hmm.
And he did the same exact same thing when it came to Mac computers. Sometimes that technology is just before its time. And I think that initial push of NFC was just before its time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's the next wave that is coming.
Oh, yeah.
And I see it coming. And there's more and more people using things like Apple Cash, transferring P2P. And it's just going to be something that merchants are going to have to adopt and start taking advantage of.
And that leads me just to piggyback on that on the next waves. The basic credit card terminal, they're not going away altogether, but they're going to be pushed to the wayside. Yeah. Now, I have agents put a lot of packs A920s out. You can sign, you can view your business on those things.
Have you had problems with connections with those?
Exactly. The app is an app-driven marketplace. Why would you get a $250, $275 processing terminal when you can get a $275 computer that does the exact same things, allows your employees to punch in and clock out, and you can log in and view your business for that particular day for the exact same price? I mean, one is going away.
I definitely agree. Smart devices are coming, and they're going to be around for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think we're on the break of something that's going to totally change the payments industry.
Yeah,
totally give it away because, I've got a little interest in a company that's doing it, so I'm sworn to secrecy. But
you're talking about like Bitcoin Pay and all that.
No.
Okay.
But, I don't. Cryptocurrency is. I do think that's the way of the future because then you don't have anybody in charge of your money. But I'm talking about for equipment standpoint. I think smart devices are great, and I think they're having a little bit of issues, like with the A920. We've sent out a bunch, and we've had some connectivity problems. But they're awesome, right?
Yeah.
They look better, they're with the time. But I think that's where I wanted to segue into is where do you see the industry and equipment in 5 years?
Definitely smart terminals. I see a lot of the smaller ISOs being swallowed up. A lot of the, I don't want to say major players. No, I'll say it. I think a lot of the major players are going to be, swallowing up some of the smaller ISOs and some combinations and mergers. Fiserv, First Data, Global, TSYS, OpenEdge, all those guys. They're going to be combining forces or combining companies and swallowing up pushing a lot of the agents out of the industry as an independent side, and they're going to be making them W-2 employees, is what I'm seeing.
That
side.
It's going to happen if we allow it to happen.
That's true.
Agents. This is something that I think needs to be said too. Agents need to realize that can only happen if we let it happen. If you're an agent in the field and somebody's approaching you with a W-2, a small salary or guarantee and all that stuff looks and sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if that's the route that you're going to take, then somebody hasn't done you justice and shown you what this industry can actually produce for you and your family. So if we don't allow that W-2 situation to happen, it can't happen.
Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many emails I get a day wanting me to, we have W-2 employees, sales staff, blah, blah, blah. providing leads, which I really don't like personally.
Why don't you like companies that provide leads? Because that's that's what we do here. Is I
Yeah.
provide all my
I've never had any success with those leads. That's just
really.
me. That's just me.
You've
I've
never
not.
got my leads.
Oh, don't do
There
it.
you
Don't
go,
do
buddy.
it. Yeah, that's just my opinion, my experience. I've always done better when I'm out on the streets on my own, cold calling and making it happen, getting
Well,
my name
do you
out there.
also believe here's my thing to that. Do you also believe since you're out doing the work, you're more invested into those leads than you are when you yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I think everything goes into training because
yeah,
if you're trained like, hey, you're not going to get these leads if you're not closing them, then people take it more seriously. But a lot of people get into the leads game and like, well, I don't give a shit. I didn't spend the time to go make it. So we
yeah.
kind of make people transition into getting the leads. Like, hey, you got to
Mhm.
go make some cold calls. You got to go out and talk to people before you're able to just jump right in and get leads.
And another thing, right before I sold my business, my book the last time, I didn't have to do any cold calling. I didn't have to do anything. I did my BNI networking group. That was it. But man, I could be in my office and I could get 5 to 10 calls a week from people just wanting to sign up
Yep.
because my name was out there so much. Everybody knew you got a business. You need credit. Oh, you need to call Eric. I would just get, and it would blow me away sometimes. I couldn't even get out of the office because somebody was calling me and I'm taking an app or the phone, and faxing them the app and all that good stuff and getting everything done. I can sit in my office and make 10 sales a week. I'm good. Back then, yeah.
Are
We're
you
getting
guys?
pretty long on time. Where do we want to wrap this up with Eric at?
Yeah, I just got two more questions.
Okay.
What advice can you give guys starting out in the industry?
Goals. Set a goal. Write down what you want. Set a timeline for its attainment, and then get to getting after it, man. Definitely have to have a goal and work towards it, and respect the golden hours.
Yep.
And my last question is what you could leave us with. Tell us about the unicorn merchant that got away from you.
The unicorn merchant that got away from me.
Everybody always has one. It doesn't even have to be a big merchant, just one that you thought you were gonna get and you just were so about it and they just they dropped the hammer and went with someone else or just said not today.
Well, I do have have several of those, but one of them was a very large company. I can't name the name, but they were using Western Union for payments to receive payments. Yeah, and I
Were
was
they a drug dealer or what?
no, this is a very large company, and I would work and I made them up, great proposals, presented to the board, everything, man. I thought I had it in the bag. It was and I had references from the CEOs of some of my other large companies, and I thought it was in the bag, man. And they came and they ended up telling me that they were doing a business loan, and the bank that they were working with, as part of them getting approved for the loan, had to do the processing for that with that particular bank. Man, I was so heated on that one. You could have put an egg right there and fried that puppy.
What would you say to that when that merchant tells you that? What is if you wanted to keep fighting for that, which I'm sure you did, what's your response to that? That's actually a pretty common objection, that I've seen and I've encountered and been able to overcome a few times to the larger merchants.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that?
Banks don't process. When there's an issue and you call the bank, all they're going to do is farm you out to somebody else. That's exactly what's going to happen.
They just want that couple extra dollars.
Exactly. When you sign up with the bank is putting a little something on there so they can get paid, because banks are in business to do what? Make money. I mean, we all are, but that's literally what a bank is in business for.
Yep.
They're not processors. They're going to farm that out to another processing company, and it is what it is.
Yep.
Man, I was so heated about that one. That was, I can name that. That was the All-American Bar Group. They own bars up and down the East Coast United States. Every city, every major city, and I thought I had that one in the bag.
Now, after they signed up with that company or got the loan, did you call them back and be like, now that you got the loan, let's switch you over? It's already been funded.
I have tried. This was years ago. I tried, and all my connections there are gone now. And I do have a couple of the bars that split away from the bar management group, and they did process with me when I got back in the industry. So it's just it's all good, man. It's all love. There's plenty of business to go around. So
I agree. I agree.
I want as much as I can get, though.
Right? Manifest destiny. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we're up for.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much. And Austin, do you have any more questions?
Hey man, no, that's it. I appreciate speaking with you. I love hearing about your story. Thank you for serving.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That definitely needs to be said. And I feel like we're going to hopefully meet again on the podcast and some video. And there's so much about yourself that I think we'd like to dig in.
Yeah,
And
are you guys going up to NEAA in Boston in February?
I will be there.
I'll be there as well. Look
I'll
forward to
take you out for a beer for doing this with us.
Most definitely. I look forward to it.
All right, you guys. I appreciate it.
All right, gentlemen.
Take care.
Take care.
That's all, folks.